Hi there, welcome to another episode of mine. And tonight we're joined with Kenny Ken and Liam when he eventually comes, and we're just going to be discussing about where Arsenal can go on from here, whether they can still go on and achieve big things from here. We're entering the last 8 games, so Kenny Ken, we saw a good performance at Everton, which proves that what capable Arsenal are doing. Can you reckon they can continue this throughout the next game and the remainder of the season? What are your thoughts on that?
It all depends on the type of football we play. Because at the end of the day, the type of football we play is the type of football that will win us games invariably. If a passing's quick and the movement's quick, and like I said, we defend properly, i.e., defend with our lives, then we will win more games than we lose. And you have to look at the game against Everton. One of the things that like that was different from our other performances in the league is that we moved the ball really quickly. Like there was movement from Wobie coming at the side, Sanchez was surrounded with pace, and so was Ozil. And we had a goal threat from Danny Welbeck, and that's the thing. I think what teams have do well against us is that when we're not moving the ball quickly, then what will happen is that they're able to like put men behind the ball, make themselves difficult to beat, and that enables them to sort of keep their positions. What we didn't, if you look at the games against Watford and against Swansea, what we didn't do is we didn't drag the opposition out of position. They were able to keep their shape, keep their position. So, and then when we lost ours, they were able to attack in numbers, knowing forward and midfielders won't track back. And I think that is what's been missing. And even in the games in the FA Cup against like Hull at home, again, one of the things that we missed out was when we actually brought on our substitutes. It's a lack of movement. That's how you win football matches. If you get the thing is tactically is to get the opposition out of position. If you keep and disrupt their shape. If you don't disrupt the opposition's shape, then you've got a problem in football, and that's the thing That's the thing we haven't been able to do at this stage. However, Arsenal has probably got a buy now. Ramsey's injured. Someone who probably hasn't been playing his best. Giroud, as Claude says, is a lamppost with no pace. So, again, they're one of the reasons that stop our midfield and our forwards from actually hurting the opposition and getting behind the opposition at pace. Now, it's probably a godsend that they're injured. Again, Phil Walcott, again, is another problem. I think he's lost a yard of pace since he's got back. He's quick, still quick over the first 5 or 10 yards. But in terms of like the cross-country running sprint, no. You only have to look at the game against Chelsea at the bridge where, like I said, what's his name? The guy got injured. He had knee injuries. French Zuma.
Zuma, yeah, Zuma.
Zuma caught at paced him, and I think that's the thing with Phil Walcott. You take away his pace, and you take away his effectiveness. As simple as that. And that's one of the things. We can't wait for Theo Walcott no more, and that's the thing. But again, let's just hope that Watford see a different Arsenal this Saturday.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, well, we should be beating Watford. Whatever they turn up, no disrespect to them. It should be a game we should be winning. And yeah, on to Theo Walcott. Yeah, I just don't think his runs are very good, and he doesn't, and his decision making is not good. He's, he is quick though, and sometimes he can be effective, but he's done his 10 years at the club now, and this is the season or last season where he should have been entering his peak, and he just hasn't done that. So yeah, I see what you mean. And we saw at Everton we threw in a couple of youngsters like Iwobi. And what did you make of him? Did you think he did well? Do you think we should stick with him?
Well, Iwobi's been a fine. I think what Arsene Wenger's done really well is that Arsene Wenger sort of brought him alongside. He hasn't sort of best in terms of like he could have set the player in line, but it's clear that Arsene Wenger's taken a personal interest in his development as a footballer to the extent that if you look at Chuba Pom, he's been sent alone of Hull, and we've sent other players out, but he made a point of keeping him in and around the first team, and that's something that makes you think that he's in the game. Obviously, he made his debut against Sheffield Wednesday. It was disaster all round. He's
Oh
played a few
yeah,
cup games. He hasn't shown too much. Like I said, he's kept it safe. He's kept his pace. He's kept his strength. And I think what we're seeing now is that what we saw Everton was the sort of performance we saw at the Emirates Cup, where he was getting behind the opposition. He was running out. running at plays at pace, good pace, and I think that comes with more games. I think again against Watford, I think he's probably going to be our secret weapon. But as I said before in the previous comments, we just ran out of games. We're so far behind Leicester. We've got to take and see. But he is a player who's going to develop. One thing about Iwobi as well, he's chosen to play for Nigeria as opposed to England. That's probably the best position. One, he doesn't feel English, he feels Nigerian. And two, I think the spotlight in terms of the hype, playing for Nigeria is probably going to help Arsenal in much more. If he plays for England, he's going to be like the next best hope. And then the pressure's going to be on. It's not going to be Chirbo, like Alex Iwobi of Arsenal. It's Alex Iwobi, England's next best hope. And I don't think that's something that's going to benefit Arsenal or the lad's career at this stage of his footballing life.
Yeah, you make a good point there. And also, when he's playing for the likes of Nigeria, he's getting a lot more game time, and you'll be able to see a lot more of him. Well, when he gets to England is like fighting a competition of forces. So, yeah, I see what you're coming from there. And also, we've got Aaron Ramsey out, and of course Santi Cazorla coming back. Would you throw them back in at this moment in time when they come back?
No, because we need fit players. I'll put them on the bench. The reason why is there's no doubt they've got a lot of ability. However, one of the things that's hurting us in terms of the opposition is that the opposition are not being put under pressure by us. And when they are under pressure, they seem to cope with it. Now, the reason why, if you play players who are half fit, and it slows down our build-up, it slows down our play. Mesut Ozil needs players with pace around him. Alexis Sanchez needs pace around him.
Definitely.
And I think in terms of Santi Cazorla, I think in terms of his Santi Cazorla, the footballer and the man, I think he needs to save himself for the European Championship of Spain. And I'd say the same about Aaron Ramsey. I think they're better served saving themselves for their country. There's no way on this earth that I'll risk them in an Arsenal shirt. It's just for the team. Team's got to come first. Unless they're 100% fit, and I mean 100% fit, then there's no need disrupting the pattern and what Arsene Wenger's not going to do.
No, absolutely not. Well, we've seen early this season that remember that Norwich game earlier this season when we got a draw. We heard there was rumours of both Sanchez and Cazorla were both rumoured not being 100% fit. Then Wenger went and deliberately played them, and look what we got out of that. So yeah.
But I think it is, Seb. It's a manager's nightmare. Managers go with their tried and trusted formation. They always do. It's always been a way of managers, especially managers of the big games. Because at the end of the day, for instance, if you got proven quality, then you know whether he's 100% fit or maybe 60 or 70% fit. All he needs is that one moment, especially in a box, who can either create a chance or score a goal. Then I think that's when you go to your big players. It's like the same with Wayne Rooney. Now you and I know that like England have got other options and better options up front. In terms of Vardy, Kane, Welbeck, and Sturridge. But because Wayne Rooney is England's top goal scorer, he's scored 50 odd goals for the country. The temptation for Roy Hodgson will be to think, right, this guy's not going to be 100% fit, but in a sort of a big game moment with about a minute to go, we can actually get a point that gets in the knockout stages of Euro 2016. Wayne Rooney's been there and done it for me. It's that temptation, you know what I mean? And I think it's the same with all the other players you've mentioned as well. It's your big managers tend to go with their big game players because at the end of the day, you know what happens, don't you? You don't play your big game players and you lose games, especially at Arsenal. Oh, why don't you play him? Why don't you play Sanchez? And Sanchez is an enemy to himself anyway. He wants to play football matches. Whether he's fit or not, he wants to play. He needs to play. He actually feels that the best way for him to regain fitness is by playing matches. And he's not a very good watcher of games. I think his injury earlier in the season was a blessing in disguise for me anyway, to enable him to get himself fit.
Yeah, and also when he was injured, what we noticed that Joel Campbell, that was when he really stepped up. And then we were all saying before, we don't miss Alexis Sanchez at that point in time.
Well, 100% right. I think Joel Campbell's probably a victim of circumstances to the extent that he's played well, he's been effective, he's scored the odd goal here and there. But because of the way we want to play now, we want to attack at pace. What we want is the ball to be moved quickly. And if we're trying to move the ball quickly in terms of defence and attack, and also not defence, midfield, in terms of like what we're talking about is taking the opposition out of their comfort zone in terms of formation and tactically, then you have to play Iwobi. Welbeck has to play. Sanchez has to play. Then you've got to play El Neni, who can like so who basically is a good water carrier. You want who can just like play box and box. You got Coquelin in terms of making the tackles, another water carrier. Then unfortunately, it's just circumstances where we need to go. That Joel Campbell's probably going to be a bit unlucky. He's probably going to be effective from the bench, but in terms of how Arsene Wenger wants to play, I have to agree with selection reluctantly in terms of not playing Joel Campbell. However, if there is an injury, then I'll rather play him in front of Phil Walcott. Because Phil Walcott, you can have Phil Walcott's got the pace that I'm looking for. However, he hasn't got the game management. He hasn't got the sort of footballing brain or confidence to do it. And he'd be more of a hindrance than anything.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from there. Yeah, and also what's needed for a big club is that you need people that can actually come off the bench and actually change the game and affect the game. And in recent years, we've not had that.
Well, we've got in terms of in numbers, we actually probably do have that because if you say Giroud's still our top goal scorer. He
Yeah,
scored.
yeah.
He played well in a friendly for his country against Holland in a 3-2 win in Amsterdam. But in terms of that, Giroud could be our plan B in terms of like if we like I said if the opposition are probably not working us out tactically, then maybe we can go a bit longer, hold the ball up. There is going to be a role for Giroud on that side, and probably going to be a minor role for Walcott. But Giroud, like I said, we've had a lot of chances in terms of Giroud. Unfortunately, with Giroud, in terms of his lack of consistency, that is hindering us a spell. Can you only look at our goals scored in the league? How many goals we got? Was it 42, 43? Compared to Spurs,
Well, they've got
like I said, they're the top goal scorers in the league, aren't they?
Yeah, and they have the best defence in the league.
And they've got the best defence. So in goal difference, they're doing fantastic. So in terms of that, you only got to look at the fact that we're creating a lot of chances. Like in terms of Ozil and maybe Sanchez as well. We're just not putting the ball in there. And a lot of that has to do with our strikers. It has to do with Walcott not being clinical enough. It's got to do with Giroud not being clinical enough as well. And most importantly, it's goals from other areas as well. You can't just rely on two players. The midfield's got to strap in with goals. Ozil scoring the odd goal here and there, but we want more goals from him. That's how you win titles. As like I know you're a bit younger, but I remember Andy Cole when he went to Man United. The first thing Brian Kidd told him was that he asked Andy Cole a question: what do you want to achieve at Man United? Do you want to be the top goal scorer at Man United? Win the Golden Boot? And Andy Cole said, yes, that's what I want to do. And Brian Kidd said, no, that's not what you want to do. What we want to do is win titles. What we need for you is to hold the ball up and be part of the play. And we need goals from other areas. If we get goals from you in other areas, we win the league. And I think that's the situation is. We're not getting enough goals from Sanchez. We're not getting enough goals from Ozil. Even Ramsey, when he plays, he's not getting enough goals, despite the fact he's been very selfish in front of goal. We're not getting enough goals from other areas, and that's what hurt us, and that's why we're playing. How do I say it? We're playing. We're looking for snookers, and that's all to do with our lack of goals.
Yeah, definitely. And I've also noticed that in most games we've actually had so many chances, but we're just not putting them away. Like you can go back to like Southampton, Swansea, even Chelsea at home, and lots of other games.
It's poor finishing, Seb. Because everyone talks about Fraser Forster having a worldie. I'm not too funny, right? If you're shooting straight at the goalkeeper,
exactly. Like I'm saying, name me one save they can make, which you go, wow, that's amazing.
He didn't make any world class saves.
No, he didn't.
He probably made one, which where he had to be a bit acrobatic in the last minutes of the first half of Ozil. But my theory is, when you play football, and I've played in goal as well, if the ball's going straight at you, then you should be saving those shots. If it's going in the corner of the net and you've had to show a bit of your agility, then fine. That's a world-class performance. Fredo Förster did not have a world-class performance at Southampton. He didn't. It was poor finishing.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's simple. Can't argue that. It's the same with against Swansea at home. Poor finishing.
Poor finishing, yeah. And even last season, when I was at the Swansea game, I actually got an interview on Arsenal Fan TV after that game, and I was complaining exactly that, because what all that does at the end of the day, it bites you in the back.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you totally agree. And that's what Pete. We need to stop kidding ourselves, right, and stop saying, "Oh, we had a worldie," because there's. I'm not going to mention this. There's a certain person on Twitter who, he's got loads of followers, and he thinks everything is rosy in the garden because we've got because we're playing such beautiful football, and Arsene Wenger is such a genius compared to what we made before. But what I'm trying to say is, I want winning football. Okay. That's what's going to win us games. When we're playing football at pace, real pace, and we get behind the opposition and we're clinical in front of goal like we were against Everton, then that's going to win us games. It's no good talking about goalkeepers having worldies or blaming referees, which we tend to do at Arsenal. Let's make our own luck. All right? And one of the things that's probably disturbing as well is that we've waited to the last 9 games of season to actually get our act together in terms of selection and actual attitude and tactics. It's like the threat of Spurs finishing above us and missing that top 4. All of a sudden, we're at our game. I don't. Maybe Arsene Wenger doesn't think the winning the Premiership is a big enough prize. Maybe he feels finishing above Spurs and maybe getting in the top 4 is a prize enough. And to the extent that, and that's sad one. He thinks maybe, just maybe, if he manages to finish above Tottenham Hotspur, that the fans are probably going to be satisfied, that we won't get on his back. He's wrong.
No,
He's
absolutely not. Because I've said this season, this has to be our year. We have to start challenging and winning titles. We can't just be saying it for 4th all the time, because that's just boring. And then when we ever get into the Champions League, we don't seem to be a big threat in it. So what's the point in that?
Well, I totally agree with you. I think the point in that is that you've got to realise is that you have to, when you buy big players, you can't paper over the cracks. It's no good having Cech, Ozil, and Sanchez, and then having average players around them. Now, you can have average players around them, and they can make you play better. But those players are only going to be played if they're tactically aware. Now, you look at Man United, Darren Fletcher, John O'Shea, Jason Park, they're all your average, your everyday players. But when you've got a manager like Alex Ferguson, right, and you've got certain world-class players like Cristiano Ronaldo, like Wayne Rooney is a class player, but he ain't world-class, but you ain't a good team, then what will happen is that those players obey their manager's instructions. So they look world-class in that formation because they've got world-class players, and their standards lift up. Now, what's happened at Arsenal is that despite the fact we have Ozil, Cech, and Sanchez, the standards of the players are not listening up. They're not benefiting or not imitating the quality we have in front of us. So then again, it says one thing: we haven't got leaders in the team, and we haven't got players that were tactically in tune. Now you can't tell me that Aaron Ramsey is tactically in tune with a modern game. He's not. It's like he goes out there and just does what he wants. It doesn't occur to him that the opposition midfielders is running past him, that he has to provide a screen in front of defence. It doesn't occur to him. It doesn't occur to Theo Walcott that like I said, having pace isn't enough. And I can label that a lot of our players, but that stems from the manager. You can't have a situation when we're playing football. If you look at the game against Watford when they went 2-0 up, it's like we're making it up as we went along. It's like me and you having a kick up in a park, and we're just trying things that are coming off. It's like we didn't practice what was happening. And that's one thing about it. Is like all the Arsenal Wenger fans can talk as much, waffle they like and say, "Oh, how can you say he's got the players, like have no tactical training? He doesn't prepare tactics. He's a professional manager. He should be preparing tactics." Well, sorry, you've watched a lot of Arsenal games this season. I'm a season ticket holder. I don't see evidence of that. I don't see evidence of Arsene Wenger preparing a team for the opposition's strengths. What I saw against Swansea, Watford at home in the FA Cup, and Man United away was teams who expected Arsenal to play a certain way, teams who said there's no way Arsenal are going to drag us out of our formation and our shape. So what we're going to do is wait for them to make the mistake. And that's what happened. All the goals against Watford, the goals against Swansea, and the goals against Man United were down to basic errors.
Definitely.
You can't argue about it. There were errors.
Absolutely. And they're all errors that were completely preventable. Like, did you see in that Watford game when Mesut Ozil gave the ball away? No one was actually there. No, he just stood there. You've got to I want to be winning that ball back, but no, they don't make an effort to win that ball back.
But if you look at the game against Everton now, when we moved the ball to pace, you notice that when we didn't have the ball, our defenders in percentages. There was none of this like I said, if the ball needed to go in row Z, it was going in row Z. Like Gabriel was doing that and Skolniski was doing that. You found that El Neni and Coquelin were making the right tackles. They were giving the ball. You noticed that Mesut Ozil and all of them were dragging back because at the end of the day, the pressure is on. They know full well. They don't want to be the team that not only finishes outside the top four, they don't want to be the team that finishes below Tottenham. So they're going to be at it. And I could predict right now what's going to happen.
Yeah, what do you reckon will happen?
Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen. We're Tottenham Hotspur going to drop points at home to Man United. They're going to drop points away to Chelsea. Definitely drop points at Anfield, and they'll definitely drop points at Stoke. So that is our in if we win all our matches.
Yeah.
So in terms of the steps we've got to take, we're all baby steps now. It's the first baby step is winning our games.
Definitely.
The second baby step is waiting for Tottenham to implode, drop points, then we capitalise, and then after that, we have to. What we need to do is secure second place. You secure second place, right, and you can concentrate on Leicester. Let's forget about Leicester's performances right now. It's enough. We're not in the title race at this moment in time. What we're looking at is second place. It's all baby steps. Now, people ain't going to be satisfied with that, but that's the reality of the situation now. We left ourselves with so much to do. We've took too many points, lost too many games. Right now, we are playing for second place. Whether we like it or not, let's be realistic and see where it takes us. Now, it's not just me being pessimistic. If I'm being pessimistic, blame the players. Blame the players' performances and results.
No, it's fine. You're not. You're talking. So. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we have to just take one step at a time. I just don't understand why Arsenal always make work always so difficult for themselves. Because at the moment, that's exactly what they're doing. They're having to rely on others to step up. But yeah, if you actually look at that run, I'm still saying if Arsenal can just get this right, then we can go on a run. Because what actually needs to happen now is we need to put on a run of wins together. I don't think we can afford to lose any games.
Absolutely not. You're absolutely right. Because I think the thing is about our home form has to improve as well. What we need to do is that we know what's going to happen. We know Norwich are going to be difficult. They're going to play. Not going to leave, break out their formation. Even though they need the points, Norwich is going to be it's going to be an easy point. Crystal Palace are now fighting for relegation. They've managed to implode. Have they won a game in Premiership game this year? I don't think they have.
No, they haven't won for a long time, apart from the cup. Yeah.
So they've dragged themselves into a relegation fight they didn't need to be. So Alan Pardew is going to have the same formation. Yeah, and he's going to think, right, the Arsenal that doesn't move the ball quickly means we can actually get something again because I've got Sahar, I've got Balassi who can hurt the opposition. And if I can get Connor Wickham fit, then he's going to create problems in defence, especially if Arsenal don't play the right formation. So the onus on us is to move the ball quickly and take charge in those games. Norwich as well, Now, Aston Villa's got an easy game. We're going to win Aston Villa, right?
Yeah, well, that
Aston
would be
Villa.
really stupid to mess that one up.
Watford are safe. They're in the
Yeah,
FA Cup semi-final.
Yeah, they'll have one eye on that.
They're going to have one eye on that, but they're going to still want to give us a bloody nose.
Exactly. They'll be going into that game with confidence, especially after that cup win. So we cannot underestimate them at any papers.
And you've got to look at Sunderland away.
Yeah, and that's going to be hard. I'm quite scared about that fixture. I know what record is good.
And you look at the situation. They're a poor average team, but there is a little bit of quality. Jermaine Defoe can score goals.
Yeah, right? he's one of these he's a very clinical finisher that can only has one chance. He puts them away.
Yeah. Remember, they've got players who are good at set pieces as well. They've got the delivery of Villar. They've got players like Ndoye, who's good in the air, and they've got other players as well who work out. Like I said, they've got leaders in terms of like Catamol, although he's a liability at times. They've got John O'Shea at the back, so that's going to be a difficult game as well. But if we move the ball quickly and play at pace, they will not be able to cope with us. But it means everyone has to be on a game. Man City is big. The reason why we're saying Man City is going to be a lot easier than before is because Leicester's gone there and won. Spurs has gone there and won. Man United have gone there and won. So, and if memory serves me right, they lost 5 times this season at home. So in that respect, again, we've got to be in our game. But that's a hard game. And Man United and Man United, the 2 Manchester clubs are looking for fight for the top 4.
Yeah.
Again, we've got to be at our game.
Absolutely.
And that's why certain players, unless they're 100% committed to the cause and committed to the formation, they can't play. That means Aaron Ramsey can't walk in that game. Theo Walcott, if he's devoid of any confidence and he cannot be trusted at that level, then I will not play him.
No, we certainly can't be having passengers in those games. Certainly cannot.
Exactly. And they're passengers as well. And that's the thing. Danny Walcott is not a world-class striker, but he works hard. He stresses the opposition. So when you get behind the opposition at pace, you bring other players into the game. You bring in the Ozils into the game. You bring Sanchez in the game. And you know what I mean? And that's the thing we've got to do. We need to, and I've repeated this form, let's make the opposition uncomfortable in their formation. Let's take them out of their comfort zone tactically. You do that, we win more matches there. We'll do it at the beginning of the season, but when you hit a wall and you're playing against teams who are set up in a certain way, in order to set up a certain way, then we're going to have problems. Again, you've got to realise they're playing for the futures. If these guys, now I want Arsene Wenger to be sacked, all right? I don't know what you want, but if these guys respect their manager, then they need to play for their manager. Seriously, they need to play for their manager. As simple as that. It doesn't matter what I think. Play for their manager for themselves. And if any of these players are even thinking of saving themselves for Euro 2016, they shouldn't be in the team.
No,
well,
surely you have to focus on your club career first before you can even think about that.
Trust me. Right now, players are not going to do that. You look at the players from Wales and Northern Ireland who are making their first playing in their tournaments. In Northern Ireland's case, it's the first time in 30 years they're going to be playing for in a major tournament. And you look at Wales, is it 50? It's going to be 58 years. Now we don't really have that problem at Arsenal because the simple reason is that the only player we've got to think about is Aaron Ramsey, but he's injured anyway. But Mesut Ozil's playing for he's playing for Germany. Cristiano's playing for France. You've got Bellerin and Cavola who makes a feature for Spain, and you've got all these players who are going to be feature, and Czech obviously he's playing for the Czech Republic. So you've got to think about all these players. They're going to have one eye on Euro 2016. However, if Spurs drop points and if Leicester drop points, then they got to be focused.
Absolutely, because we have to go through it. Absolutely. As soon as they slip, we have to capitalise. Because if not, what do those slips mean?
Nothing at all. No, nothing at all. We got. You're 100% right. We've got to look at the situation in terms of North London derby. We got a good result in North London derby. We know full well with 11 against 11, we would have beaten Tottenham. There's nothing. Then I was at the game. I saw nothing to fear. Spurs, yeah, they play a tried and trusted system. Like I said, they press and force you, try to bully teams at their mistakes. But you match them in terms of intensity, especially in their passing, intensity in terms of their physicality, then you'll beat them because at the end of the day, as Harry Kane even said, with our game changers, it was a difficult game for Spurs, and that's the thing. What we've got to do. Unfortunately, we're not playing Spurs or Leicester anymore, so we've got to concentrate on ourselves. It's no good our players, like being around the radios, blah blah. They got us in this situation. They get us out of it. That's what we've got to do.
Exactly. You always have to get yourselves out. And
Hmm.
yeah, as you said, all we need to focus on is ourselves, because we just need to take one game at a time. That's what I keep saying for ages.
Absolutely.
Because the thing is, I think with Arsenal, they look too far ahead of ourselves in the schedule, because we had a good performance at Man City. Then when we played Southampton away, we just thought we could just turn up and we'll be fine. And it doesn't work like that anymore.
Yeah, but it's the media as well. The media do a lot of that as well, and fans as well. Like I said, you've got to realise is that when fans are just as bad as media. They have expectations. They don't. They say they come out all the sound bites by saying, yeah, every game in the Premiership is very hard and no games are gimme. But deep down, I actually believe that there are games that gimme. You hear from fans, oh, we should be beating this, we should be beating that. Only if you play well, and only if you feel the team pattern and you score goals and you beat the opposition. You've got no right to beat anyone. You only look at situations. We were overwhelming favourites to beat Watford in the FA Cup because one, we're the holders. Two, most importantly, we beat them at Vicarage Road, even though they gave us a game. We beat them. Our quality showed. So we're hot favourites, but we didn't earn the right to play. We didn't put them under pressure in the first half. Our football, dare I say, our style of play was too slow, and they capitalised. They were comfortable when we attacked, and that is the thing. The thing, you can only earn the right to win. It's not like Spain, or in terms of or Barcelona, where what's happened with Real Madrid, Barcelona, to a certain extent, Atletico. The opposition are going to be in it for the first 20 minutes. As soon as these teams, when they play Atletico, Real Madrid, and Barcelona, goal down, the white flag goes out. It's game over. It's absolutely game over. Because simple reason is that they don't mind getting the odd goal, but they know full well they're not going to win. However, in the Premiership, it's not like that. It's not like that no more. No team is going to batter anybody. You know what I mean? No team is going to put the white flag out. You know what I mean? A team can go to Old Trafford now and win, and you wouldn't be surprised. Like, we've had teams come to the Emirates and turns over. If you want to be honest, with the exception of probably last season, no team stands out. And it's not because the Premiership is poor quality. Don't believe that crap at all. It's rubbish. The reason why the Premiership is difficult, is a hard league, is because teams like Stoke and like the West Broms, they're now spending big money on players. All right, so because they're paying big money on players, they're getting quality. And because they're getting quality, that means games that they're playing, they're going to have a better chance of getting success. And that's what will happen. And that's what will happen. The gap is getting smaller. Next season, regardless of whether City have Guardiola or Mourinho is going to be, Guardiola's going to find that the Premier League is not going to be to his liking. He isn't going to like that. Van Gaal has found that the Premier League is not his liking. Van Gaal has never accepted or come to terms with the fact that teams in the English league try and win every game, regardless of who you are. He's not used to that. And that's why he's been found wanting this league. Guardiola is going to get the shock of his life.
Exactly. It's an interesting point you're making.
He's going to get a shock of his life. In Germany, Bayern Munich, right, have given every game they play, home and away, they are favourites to win. If you look at their losses, I can only think of one game they've lost. Because simple reason. Yeah. I don't know who
they lost to Borussia Dortmund in the Bundesliga, and they lost to us in the Champions League.
Yeah, but again, Bayern Munich if you're getting a betting slip out, right? You put Bayern Munich to win all the time, right? You won't make money, but they're guaranteed to win. The same when he was at Barcelona, he was guaranteed to win every game. The only test he had was in the Champions League. That's where he earns his money, on winning the Champions League or getting to the final. That's where he's earning his money. But next year, one of the reasons why he's been brought to the Premiership is obviously to help Man City win the Champions League. But one of the things he's going to find difficult to accept is the fact that teams are going to give him a hard game. He's going to need to get every ounce of ability, concentration, and mental attitude for him to win games. And that's one thing he's going to have to learn to adapt. Mourinho has adapted, and Mourinho, despite the fact he won the league with Chelsea, has not found the Premiership to his liking since he's got back from Spain. When he was first at Chelsea teams were in transition, so Chelsea were winning games very easily when his first spell. And then when Man United and Rooney and Ronaldo came of age, and they started dominating the league, Mourinho got found out. And I think it was the same with Arsenal. Again, the gap is getting smaller, and it's going to get smaller even more. West Ham,
60,000. When they get that new stadium, they're going to be out.
Yeah, no costs. Remember, they've got no operating costs. They're getting the stadium for free, which means every bit of money, TV money, can go and get attracting the players. Do not be surprised if Ibrahimovic goes to West Ham. They can afford him.
Yeah, well, I did hear a bit of rumours about that today, but I was hearing the main stuff he wants to come to is Arsenal.
Yeah, and then look at Chelsea. 60. They're going to be building the stadium in the next few years. So are Spurs.
Yeah,
so so what's happened? The competition for Arsenal is going to get greater in terms of stadia now.
Definitely.
And then you've got these clubs in London with the stadia. Not only got the stadia, they've now got the fact they can attract the best players as well because they're in London. All right? Foreign players want to be in London because it's near the airport. They can get access to them through the Channel Tunnel. They can get access through Heathrow to go to their countries. And most importantly, London is a multicultural city.
It is, definitely, yeah.
So no disrespect to Manchester, unless you're paying top dollar, and Man United and Man City have got the top bosses, or Liverpool got the top bosses, then players will come to London. So that's why Man United and Man City need managers like Mourinho and Guardiola. It's because they need to be able to attract the best players, because they know that the best players do not want to come, rather live in London. And it's not just them, it's their wives and families. You know, their wives want to be around, people who speak Spanish-speaking people, or Portuguese, speaking people, or French-speaking, or Dutch-speaking. London's cosmopolitan, and that's the thing about it, is that don't buy into this nonsense, right? That the reason why Leicester are on top of the table and Tottenham is because the league is not quality. The gap's smaller. That's all it is.
Yeah, you're right. You make some very interesting points there. Yeah, the gap is small, and of course it will get smaller when these other teams get their stadiums. And
of course, and that's the thing. That's why stagnation, right? Stagnation is a killer. When Arsenal stagnate, what happens is teams catch up with them. Right? Arsenal not playing, and that's the thing. Spurs will catch up with us if we stagnate. But Chelsea have gone past us because we stagnated. Man City have gone past us because they stagnated.
Yeah, they flew past us.
Yeah, and it's not because what's happened is that in terms of their value, in terms of the players who want to come to their clubs because they're successful, we stood still. Man United, because Arsenal and Man United are now thinking about money. Yeah. You look at Man United. Man United have made more money in the last 2-3 years than they ever made when they were winning trophies. So the balance sheets matter there. They don't need to sack Van Gaal because simple reason is that they're even making much more money. Arsenal make more money than we ever did when we won leagues. We don't actually need to win the league as a business. We don't need to do that. None of these big clubs need to do that because of the TV money. And it's not just TV money coming from this country, it's the TV money coming from Asia. The United States is now a cash cow, and places like untapped countries like Australia, the merchandise. So really and truly, we don't need the money. But in terms of what our fans demand in terms of winning the trophies, that's where there's these owners are going to have a bit of a problem. Like the Kroenke, he's got a massive problem there because we want trophies.
Definitely.
We're not satisfied with the balance sheets of the club or the fact that we're in a black or the red. He can hide all he likes in his ranch in Texas, or hide behind Arsene Wenger, and Arsene Wenger can hide and count their money. But we are not set. We want trophies.
Definitely.
And we want to win a big thing. We're not buying into that. And the same in Man United. Man United are making more money than before, but the fans on Stretford End are not buying into this nonsense that all the crap that Van Gaal's producing. They're not buying into that. It's all about glory, and that's the thing.
Definitely now it is all about trophies. Yeah, and the thing is that Arsenal should be going into the Prem every season targeting to be the best. Because at the end of the day, that's what we want. We don't want to be third best or fourth best. And the same with the Champions League. We need to be going into those competitions targeting to win it, not just, so let's see how far we can go. Let's just get out of the group.
Yeah.
It's the wrong attitude.
All right, mate, you're right. But the thing about it is, if you want to win the league and the Champions League, two things you need to be able to do. You need to be able to defend. All right. The teams that invariably will win who get further in the Champions League, unless you're Barcelona, are teams that are able to defend.
Yeah, if you want to win big things, you have to have a solid defense.
You have to have a solid defense, and then what you have to do is solid defense. You're going to have to be clinical in front of goal.
Yeah,
the best teams in Europe do that. Also, what will happen is that the best teams in Europe have strength in the bench. You know, a big bench.
Squad depth.
Yeah. Now you look at Bayern Munich when they played Juventus.
Yeah, but I saw the likes of Thomas Müller on the bench.
2-0 down, right? They got a 2-2. Then an extra time, when Juventus got tired, Allegri took off Morata. What did Guardiola do? He brought on Koeman, and he brought on, Thiago Alcantara. And what he did, by bringing those two on, he basically ran at Juventus, gambled, and then that enabled him to win in extra time. But you can only do that if you have quality around the squad and you defend properly and you have clinical. Arsenal cannot win a Champions League because simple reasons: they don't defend properly, they're not clinical in front of goal, and their bench isn't strong enough.
It's not strong enough. It's
not strong enough.
And you're always going to know with Arsenal, most teams will know that at some point we're going to have an injury crisis.
Of course.
How long has this been going on for?
Too long. But you look at Man City. Is there any accident? There's not an accident there in the quarterfinals, is it?
Absolutely not.
Because simply, all right, Joe Hart's injured, but they've still got a quality goalkeeper to come in. All right. Yeah, all right. Yeah, but what's happening is right. Defensively, they're not the greatest, but they're not doing that badly. In midfield and up front, they're clinical. You look at that bench. You look at what they can get off that bench. And that's the thing. You watch the Champions League now. The teams that are going to win the Champions League are the teams that defend well, clinical in front of goal, and got a strong bench.
I totally agree with you.
And that's something Arsenal need to repair. It's no good just having 3 world-class players and then having, like I said, players with below average quality, no game management, no tactical brain, and then having no quality on the bench. I'm sorry, but that teams like that are winning the Champions League. When we got to Champions League final in 2006, why did we get to the final?
Well, we had basically quality. We had like loads of world class players. We had lots of Pires, Bergkamp, Henry, Vieira. We had them all. Now we've only got like 3.
Well, Vieira weren't there. Remember, we started on Juventus, but we still had the quality. We still had players from Invincible. One of the things we did well is that we had a strong goalkeeper in Lehmann.
Yeah, Lehmann was
We had
really
some.
good.
Most importantly, we defended well. Remember, we didn't lose. We defended well. We didn't see the goal in the knockout stages. Remember that?
Yeah, we
We
didn't
defended
know.
well.
You have the likes of
Yeah.
Colo Torre and Sol Campbell who formed a
In
defensive
midfield,
partnership.
we had a strong midfield, and we had Thierry up front. It was clinical,
Very
right?
clinical.
And on the bench, we could claw on a few players. We had players like Hleb, Pires, Ljungberg. We
Yeah.
had a lot of quality, and that got us to the Champions League. And even then, even under the bad years, we'll get into like quarterfinals and blah blah because we had a little bit of quality.
Yeah, we did.
But if you but we haven't had that quality. We're a last 16 team.
Yeah, I know, and that's not good enough.
No, we can get angry. We can either get angry and throw our toys at a pram, or just admit it. That's what we are, and that is again is down to the manager.
It is.
And that is down to the manager. And you've got to now. We're giving this man a 3-year contract. Now these are only reports. They're not proved. They're not unconfirmed. Blah blah. But how can you give a man for the last 10 years who's not followed the blueprint for success another contract, right? Because he's managed to basically put us in a good financial position off the pitch, but not in a good off the pitch. On the pitch, I don't understand how Arsene Wenger can be the man to repair the damage. Now the thing with Arsene Wenger can do is that if I was him, I'll leave now. He's left a new coach with some good foundations to work from. If but the new coach has to be a coach who's won a Champions League or is capable of winning the Champions League and realises what it takes to win a Champions League.
Definitely.
Now, it doesn't have to be. Now, if you want some names, Koeman. If I say Ronald Koeman, I'm going to say to you, think about Koeman with money. Don't think about Koeman at Southampton. Think about Koeman with money. And then when you think about Koeman with money, maybe Joachim Löw.
Yeah.
He's got great players. However, he's not been a club manager for a long time. But he knows what it takes to win trophies. He knows what it takes to have a great defence, strong midfield, clinical in front of goal, and have a strong game changers from the bench. So he qualifies, in my opinion.
Definitely.
And that's the thing. You want managers who can do it, and you basically want a manager who's capable of winning the Champions League.
Yeah, and also I just want managers that will actually spend money because we actually have all that money to attract all these top players. Yeah. It just doesn't want to be. Just doesn't want to be spent.
Yeah, but you look at Man City and Chelsea, right? You can slag them off to the cows come home, but the reason why they're winning trophies is because the money they spent is being spent properly.
Yeah,
it's been spent on world-class players, excellent defenders in terms of Chelsea, big game players, players who can change the game, and game managers. That's why we win trophies. And if it means that you've got to spend more than above average to get these players, then get them. That's what they've done. They've got owners who are and managers who are saying, right, I want this player, and then the club says, well, I want to bet. I'm going to Arsenal asked me to give him 50 million, but to you it's 55. I said, all right, go and get him.
Yeah, there you go. This manager has to be prepared to overspend if it doesn't come back.
Go and get them.
Go and get them, yeah.
Go and get them. Go and get them, because the reason why you've got these players is because they're good players.
Yeah.
Simple.
I'll never forget that Suarez one, because if we actually put the money down at that point, we would have got him here. Then I reckon we would have won a league title by now, because that would have made a huge difference. And at that time, Suarez at that time was desperate to get out of Liverpool. He was absolutely desperate, because I think it was mainly partly the £1 bit that kind of said no.
We were arrogant, and we took advantage of the situation, and basically we didn't really want him. No. We didn't want him. Arsene Wenger didn't really want him. Arsene Wenger was probably pushed into it. He's probably pointed out to Arsene Wenger that look, why don't we look at Suarez? There's a clause in his contract. So Arsene Wenger said, all right, let's see if we can activate it. If Arsene Wenger really wanted Suarez, he would have paid the money think
50 would have got
50 would have got him, and that's the thing with Arsene Wenger, and that's the thing is he will not pay the going rate
no.
in footballers. He personally thinks that no player is worth 60 million or 70 million. It can't be blah blah. He still thinks that this is the days when he first came to the club where he can get the players on the cheap, players like Petit from Monaco and Henry on the cheap, and then sell them for big money. Don't work like that no more.
Those days are over now.
Those days are over. Arsene Wenger had the French market to himself to the extent that because of his own links with the the league in France, and what he realised is that in terms of the style of play, a lot of the players who play in France, they're actually physically ready to play in the Premiership, especially because you look at the reason why I say that is that you look in France. We're not just talking the European Caucasian players, but France have got a big French African population and French West Indian population. Now, these big black guys, they're physically strong, which means they can cope in terms of the hard run in the Premiership. And we benefited from that. Vieira is an example of that. And there's other players as well. When Arsenal won titles, we were not only just a good footballing side, we're a physical side.
Yeah,
we earned the right to play, which means we understood that there were teams in the English league who basically, right, will put their foot in, will try and disrupt your style of play, which meant you had to earn the right to play. Arsene Wenger went against that, and he tried to make us into Barcelona, which was commendable. However, what happens is he concentrated on the midfield and the attack and neglected the defence. So in these like little moments in the big games, teams who are able to defend, and even teams that are on our level like Man United and Chelsea, thought, you know what? Why try to play football against Arsenal? Why don't we just make ourselves difficult to beat, nick a goal here and there, and just win? Let's not try. That's what they think. That's what they wanted to do. They just said, rather than try, let's just win. Because at the end of the day, they knew full well. At the end of the day, the best. Yeah, football's all about one thing: scoring more goals than the opposition. That's what football's about, and they accepted that. Now I can't say the same for Arsene Wenger. He seems to have this utopia that we've got to play this style of play and blah blah.
No, it's not always a beautiful football. Sometimes matches you've got to dig in. It's not always going to be the perfect.
Full well, 3 years ago when we lost against Spurs in the league, in the Premiership, when Spurs were probably 7 points ahead of us in the Champions the Champions League pages, he went on a run. He dropped players. He dropped Vermaelen. Yeah. He lost a bit of patience with Walcott. He sort of said, right, I'm going to be players in form, and we're going to go and run the games. And what happened? We finished above Tottenham, and it's now the same sort of thing. Now he's lost patience with Walcott. Walcott. He won't play him. He's lost patience with Giroud. He's thinking, you know what? I can't rely on these players in order to find their form. I need wins now, and because I need wins, these players got to go.
Definitely, and on to that point, Arsene Wenger does eventually drop these people, but I'm saying, how long it's taking you to finally realise, because most of the fans realise that when people are out of form, then you can't keep resisting with it. You just can't.
Well, the thing about it is, you've got to realise is that Arsene Wenger's gonna, Arsene Wenger's got to back his judgment, isn't it? He's not gonna, if he's showing loyalty to certain players, he's not gonna just go up to them and say, right, you know what? I've invested a lot of time in someone like Walcott. I can't just dump him. I need to see if he can find form, because I know on his day he can do something for me. The same Ramsey. However,
there's not enough of these consistencies.
Yes, we're now at the business end of the season.
Yeah.
We've now got a massive gap against Leicester. We are looking for snookers. We can't afford to lose games, which means he has to be ruthless, because he has to be. Because at the end of the day, all Arsene Wenger's worried about right now is not winning the league. It's about finishing at Tottenham and getting the top four. He feels that if he gets in the top four and he finishes above Spurs, then he'll get a reprieve from the fans. because don't get me wrong, he knows about St Tottenham Day. He knows about the rivalry at Tottenham. He knows how angry. He knows how annoyed we'll be if we finish above Spurs. He's never finished below Tottenham and everything. He knows we'll be annoyed if we finish below them. It's basically a stick. It's a stick, and also, you know, we're renewing. We're going to be renewing our memberships. You've got like a membership just like me.
Yeah,
Some membership. You've got a silver. I've got a gold membership. Obviously, he wants our custom. So now they're going to talk about players. You know, like I said, Ibrahimovic is making noises about coming. Everyone knows that Arsenal, like a world-class player, he scored 35 goals in 40 games for PSG. We know that he's physically fit. We know full well that we want him. So he's dangling that little carrot in front of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's renewal time. But one thing is that I think the game's up for Arsene Wenger. Because the thing about it now is that it's all right for me and you to make our criticisms. But when you've got people in football who've got the greatest respect for Arsene Wenger now thinking aloud. Now, when Paul Merson says that, you say, well, Merson's always been critical of Arsene Wenger. When someone like Emmanuel, when someone like Tony Adams says it, you take it a pinch of salt. When Emmanuel Petit is saying it,
yeah, he said it the other week on Thursday.
And when Patrick Vieira's saying that, you listen. Now he ain't gonna listen to any of those people, but even Arsenal, even fans who are loyal to Arsene Wenger are now talking about his departure. They're now saying Arsene Wenger has got to go in his own terms. They wouldn't have said that before. The thought of them thinking about Arsene Wenger leaving the club would have been alien to them. But because of results, and because we need to win this league, and because we can't afford to finish below Spurs, the conversation that we should have been having years ago is now the discussion point in every show. We're discussing it now between both of us.
Yeah.
You go on any Arsenal podcast, you go on Arsenal Fans TV, you go on the Gooner Talk, the Gooner News, you go on the Gooner Ramble, Bergkamp in Wonderland. Now, a lot of people on Bergkamp in Wonderland are Wenger loyalists. In fact, majority of them are. But they're having that conversation there. Except for one person, I won't mention his name. He's as stubborn as a mule and he's a very annoying man. But he's got his views. I don't like his views. I don't respect them. But they're his views and he's got a right to wear them. Yeah. All I got to do is turn the off button. But they're on now having that conversation. And the thing about it is that the people who are loyal to Arsene Wenger, right? They are now they're now slowly being a minority now. Their arguments in terms of defending our manager is now becoming slowly becoming baseless. Right? They are no longer having the audacity to question people like me and you and accusing us of being disloyal to the football club. They now look stupid by even criticising their opinions. They now look even more stupid by telling us to go and support another club. Because simple reason there is that because of our stagnation, because of his refusal to buy new players, outfield players and world-class striker, not just this season, the season before that, and the season before that in terms of Suarez, a recurring theme, right? We've asked for world-class strikers, and what we've got is a plan B, i.e. Giroud. Right? Yeah. Since he hasn't bought Suarez, we've had no titles. No titles. We should have won the title in 2013, 2014. What happened? Lost because of his poor tactical preparation for the big games. We got thrashed.
Oh, that was horrendous.
6-0 at Chelsea.
Yeah, 6-0 Chelsea, 5-1 Anfield, 6-3 Man City, and 3-0 Everton.
Exactly.
Oh, that was it's because you didn't set up properly. I felt.
Exactly.
I felt that was the reason why.
No titles.
He didn't look at the opposition, and that's what you need to do against the big teams. He didn't look at the opposition.
Last season, no challenge to Chelsea. Chelsea won it. Chelsea as good as won that title before Christmas.
Yeah.
The minute Man City dropped points, and it was over before Christmas.
Yeah.
This season, a great chance.
We should have been walking this. We
Exactly,
should
no titles.
This.
Now, you can't tell me his lack of transfer activity hasn't got a bearing on us winning the title.
It's got a big bearing.
Now, where I come from, that's neglect. That's pure neglect in that respect. And unfortunately, I have to say that I hate to say I told you so, because we're all suffering now. We are now suffering the ignominy of going another season without a title.
Yeah.
Now, statistics state, although I don't pay much signs to them, is that there is an assumption that Man City, because they've got Guardiola and Man United might get Mourinho and other clubs are now going to spend big money, that it's going to be hard for us to compete. So, if that's the case, then he has to spend big money next season in order to compete for the title. But you and I know that he's part of the problem.
Definitely.
Everyone talks about all the coaches we can attract to come to Arsenal. Arsene Wenger is like, he's like the immovable wall. It's like trying to get through a tunnel and not being able to get there because you've got this big fat bloke in the way. And that big fat bloke is Arsene Wenger. We cannot move forward with this man in charge. Now, people could say about Kroenke, blah, blah, blah. But, yeah, Kroenke doesn't want to spend money and he's part of the problem. But hang on here. Don't assume just because Kroenke goes that Arsene Wenger's going to spend money. That Arsene Wenger's going to start, like improving his tactics in the big games and try and get world-class players. Arsene Wenger is just as complicit in our problems as Stan Kroenke. Remember, Stan Kroenke has only been on the board. How long has he been on the board for?
Stan Kroenke, he came in since Nina Bracewell Smith.
Oh, when did they sell their shares to Kroenke?
I think that was in. Well, they were talking about it in 2009, but I don't think it actually happened until 2010. It was April 2010. It was from then. Yeah.
All right. Before Kroenke became the majority shareholder, what was going on before that? Nothing. Arsene Wenger was still in charge. He was still making the same tactical mistakes, and so all I'm saying is that again, it's down to the manager. You know what I mean? The only reason why Arsenal are in a position of finishing the Champions League is because our calibre of player is better than the teams that finish below us, i.e. fifth downwards or fourth downwards. That's all it is, and it's because that's the only reason why teams are not caught up with Arsenal. Right? We still got enough game changers, enough quality players to get us to that level of qualifying Champions League. But that extra quality to win the league is not there.
It's not quite there, and I don't think, the mentality is not there, and we haven't got that bite. I just don't think that's there yet. So I just think we need to, most players need to toughen up. And we'll get there. And we need to toughen up. And at the moment, we're just not doing that. And of course, transfers come into that, and the mentality comes in that. There's lots of things that come into that concept about achieving, going on to the next level. Yeah. Well, I think how can we go on for about an hour? I think. Should we wrap it up there?
Yeah, we definitely do. We talk. Let's just say we'll do this again.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks for having me on.
That's no problem.
I hope the audio quality was of the higher standards.
Yeah.
And I'm using my trusty iPad because my computer's just, it needs a clean up. So I hope when you replay this back to me, hopefully we don't have any audio problems. But it's been a pleasure.
Yeah,
thanks for having me on.
That's no worries. I've just started doing these. I plan to do a little bit more of these if people
practice makes perfect.
Yeah, I did one yesterday with Tom and Liam, and that was my first show. So we were just talking about the Everton game.
No problem. Well, I'm hungry, so you better let me go.
All right, no worries. Okay.
See you later.
See you later. And all the and everyone else, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please leave a like if you've enjoyed it. Leave a comment and put in the comments below what you think about whether you think we can move on to the next level very soon, whether you think we can still do big things in this league, or what your views on Arsene Wenger. You want him in or you want him out? Let me all know in the comments below. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do now. And as always, I'll see you very soon. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.